I'm going to follow that up and talk about something that seems to have been a hot topic on social media as of late, and that is gatekeeping in the horror community. And even though it's been a hot topic, I don't recall really seeing a whole lot of gatekeeping personally. Although I do see, and this could be considered gatekeeping, is a lot of the bourgeoisie horror folks on social media kind of looking down their nose at the common horror fan, because they've ascended to some sort of status, and everyone else is kind of beneath them. That's kind of gatekeeping a little bit, I think. But what really bothers me about gatekeeping, especially in the horror movie community, is that it's people who have been gatekept against most of their lives as horror fans or as genre fans. They're now gatekeeping. Because I think most people who are horror fans are already kind of outsiders, or have either been or have been made to feel like an outsider because they love horror. And being a horror fan, you typically wear a lot of black, maybe some black horror shirts, and you're looked at differently if you wear a shirt with a decapitated head on it. Why? If you walk in, I mean, who cares? It's I'm making a statement. But it frustrates me to see, particularly, like I said, the bourgeoisie horror. Now, I don't know if you can say they're horror fans. They're horror journalists, and they're actual horror movie producers that kind of look down their. It seems like they look down their noses, and a lot of horror fans who are not on their level. And that's in a way kind of gatekeeping, I think. But what bothers me more is that you've been gatekept against. Why gatekeep now? This should be a community of all different colors and creeds and sizes, and But anyway, I wanted to have any of you felt gate kept against, or been privy to gatekeeping? Susan, have you ever felt gate kept against simply by
Yes.
virtue of the fact that you're a female?
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's always, if I try to bring some humor or lightness to a thing, it's, oh, she's an airhead. It's like, no, why don't you check my IQ test? Then we'll talk. But, there's always this thing about, oh, well, if you're a female and you're okay with the B movies and the, horror comedies and whatever, you must be an idiot. You can't enjoy more intellectual horror or whatever. It's like, no, just because that's what I like for stress relief and to just have some fun, it doesn't say anything about my overall appreciation of horror as a genre, or that I can't have an intelligent conversation with someone about another type of horror movie. I think there's also, in gatekeeping, it's like, okay, you have Halloween here, and you like Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy and Jason, so therefore you never watch independent horror. You don't like independent horror. You don't have an appreciation. Bitch, this was independent horror originally. But whatever. I digress. There's a lot of just micromanaged gatekeeping even, and I'm like, excuse me, just because you were bullied doesn't mean you need to become a bully. That's not cool in any way, shape, or form. And just because someone looks or acts a certain way, there are some pockets of our community that would have a problem with the fact that I'm just wearing like a black floral shirt today instead of my entire wardrobe of fright rag shirts. Like, that's all I ever wear, right? And they'll judge on that. It's becoming so, I don't know, for me, what I'm witnessing, whether it's something that I'm directly experiencing, but people know that I just kind of have an IDGAF attitude. So I'm not maybe as much of a target, but when I see it happen to other people, it makes me just as angry, maybe even more than when it happens to me, because I'm just like, yeah, there's the door. Bye. Why are you here? Don't look at my stuff. Don't comment. Don't come to my, like, bye. But other people, you know, they get really, really upset. And I mean, there are still things that people can say and do, or just by virtue of not including someone, they're sending a message. So yeah, I do feel like, especially with like we were talking about different types of horror, I feel like there's a lot of gatekeeping with that too. Like if you like the 80s stuff, then you can't like or appreciate or have a conversation with me about anything that came out yesterday and that's, you know, intellectual horror. That makes me boil. But you know what? It's fine. I don't need to talk to them. That's fine. If that's how small-minded you are, I don't need to talk to you. I mean, I've also witnessed gatekeeping as far as race in the community, as far as religion in the community. I just, I don't want to hear about it. You know, if I like horror, now I have to be a Satanist and a racist and all this kind of stuff, which neither. Um, Things like that. There's just, you can take it into different things, but it's just, it's getting heavier, I've noticed, within the last like 4 or 5 years, and I don't like that. So I try to just kind of stay in my own lane and just mind my own business and everything. But it's hard when you see stuff happening, you know, to other people, because like you were saying, Piz, a lot of us, I was bullied, like seriously bullied. And I would never turn around and bully someone else. As a matter of fact, I'd try to make sure they're more accepted and brought into the fold, and that they're comfortable and that they understand that this community is not a place for that kind of behavior. But it's really strange to see how everything is unfolding. And also at the same time as everyone is trying to be more cognizant and aware of what everyone else is going through and how they are in their lives, and just to be accepting, it's really strange that this seems to be kind of amping up. In my perception, it's been amping up while supposedly the opposite is supposed to be happening. It's just kind of sad.
Anybody else ever felt gate kept against or witnessed gatekeeping in the community?
I think it's just an extension of the whole high school clique attitude. It exists in every community on YouTube, everywhere. You always have those people that identify themselves as the cool kids, and then everybody else that doesn't, you know, bow to them is, you know, they try to eject them from their little clique. You know, people only have power over you if you give them the power. I was an outcast in high school because I didn't play the game. I didn't care. There was nothing cool about the cool kids to me. And it's true that sometimes people that are bullied grow up to be bullies. Well, that's just because they're mentally and emotionally unhealthy. The people that are healthy understand what it feels like to be bullied. And like Susan said, you know, they try to help people that are being bullied, and they'll stand up for those people. You know, safety in numbers, right? If you see a big bully picking on a kid, well, now there's 2 kids against a big bully. And or my favorite thing to do in school was find a bully that was my bully. I would find his bully and make friends with him. You know, and then use that against my bully. You know, I had fun with it. I didn't care, because people can say whatever they want to say, and I just don't care. I don't understand this. You know, this person's supposedly better than that person because they like this, and how dare you like that? It's in the music community. It's everywhere. Like even in school, even when I got out of school, I like thrash metal and I liked hair metal. Right? My thrash metal friends would make fun of me for liking hair metal, and my hair metal friends would make fun of me for liking thrash metal. And I didn't give a shit because I like both. I was like, I'm not going to stop listening to something I like just because you don't like it. You don't like it, you don't listen to it, I'll listen to it. And so that's always been kind of my attitude about it. And as far as gatekeeping goes and just making stupid comments on videos, I watch a lot of guitar related stuff, and there'll be like a review of a Schecter guitar, and somebody will go on the review and they'll put, I hate Schecter guitars. No, I don't respond to that person. I'm thinking, then why'd you watch the video?
Exactly. Like, why are you here? There's the door.
You just came here because you're that pathetic that you needed to let everybody know that you hated the product that's being displayed, I mean, demonstrated. Really? I mean, you are a very sad individual, and I feel sorry for you.
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Monty.
I noticed that with like I remember around the time like when we had the big remake surge, like with in particular the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which really made me think of this. And I remember how much I hated that film and still hate that film. I think it's trash. I really think it's garbage. And I remember, but then again, I'm 40 years old too, so I grew up in a different era of these kids now. But anyway, I remember seeing this kid on YouTube who did a review of it, and he said how the original Nightmare on Elm Street was. He basically, gist of it was, he said it was garbage, it was corny, blah blah blah. His commentary pissed me off, but I didn't jump on this thing and say, "Oh, you suck," blah blah blah. And he said he really liked the new one, and he said it was a better movie. Whatever. But when I really processed it and thought about it later, because my first opinion was, you suck, you have no idea what you're talking about, you need to go watch, I don't know, you need to go watch Nightmare on Elm Street 2, or you need to go watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, The Funhouse, blah 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 blah. I'm going through all these movies, and then I thought to myself, like, I'm whatever I was at the time when that movie came out, and this guy is, I don't know, born in 1995 or 96 or whatever. He has no reference point to my experience. So I really did think to myself, who am I to say that this kid is wrong? I didn't say he was wrong. I was mentally feeling, in my opinion, he was, but I didn't. But I just kind of felt like, the kid likes this stuff. He's supporting it, whether I think it's trash or not. So who am I to jump on the guy, and say that he's wrong? I don't agree, but again, it just goes back to the point that just, it brings the community down, and it doesn't keep it going, and it kind of gives other people excuses who hate the horror genre so much. Like, that's why we got so much stuff on Netflix right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Instead of stuff coming out in the theater like it did back in the day. There's no support for each other. So yeah, I think I've been in that position myself, towards other people.
Yeah, every time somebody gives Rob Zombie's Halloween a positive review, I have to choke back my response and say, like what you like, man. It's all good. I disagree, but like you said, there are kids that were born. I have to think about perspective.
Yeah.
How old I was when I saw the first Halloween and how it affected me. Well, to them, that's their Halloween. So
Yeah,
even though I may not like the films, it's okay if other people do. It's all good.
Right.
Well, and what kills me is when people say that you shouldn't attach any sentimental value to it, but it's okay if they attach sentimental value to theirs because it's newer. Oh, okay. All right, bye.
Right.
I think there's danger, of course, because after having just gone through and talked about how wonderful our community has been when I needed it to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not seeing gatekeeping and cruel comments. I think there is a danger, though, in overstating this case, because the internet is basically a city. That means there's some great art galleries you can go to. There's some arcades, lots of great places that you can have a lot of good fun. But it's not a safe place. And it's never going to be a safe place unless they make it not anything any of us ever want to visit. If they want to make it into post-Giuliani, Times Square, Disneyland, none of us will be showing up. So the danger is that there's going to be the rubbing of shoulders at some times. And we need to be quick not to judge the other people doing the rubbing of the shoulders and ascribing motive to their actions, because that leads to a world whereas we can't have differences of opinion either because we're so afraid of offending each other. So I think the best policy is be honest and be brave with your comments, but just try to be respectful whenever you can, or at least have a goddamn sense of humor. Because listen, I'm a guy who will champion Jason X all day and will trash aliens all day. Okay. I know how to raise some blood pressure when I want to. But hopefully at the end of the day, after the conversation that people have with me, they come away going, well, I don't agree with Lauren any more than I did before, but that was kind of a fun conversation. That's my goal always, is that it be productive, at least in the conversation. And we need more of that. I don't think the answer is less conversation. I think it's more conversation. So do not ostracize people who portray themselves as a bully at their worst moment, because you're just creating more problem.
Mm-hmm.
And this could be just a trickle-down effect from society as a whole with all the tribalism that's been going on in the past 4 or 5 years. And hopefully we're coming out of that now, and maybe we can heal a little bit and learn how to have an actual conversation about things, even if we don't agree. We've lost that ability in our modern society, and I think we see this gatekeeping as kind of a trickle down effect of what the larger problem is that we forgot how to just have a conversation without being offended by everything.
Clips just like this, be sure to subscribe to the Region Free YouTube channel and also check out the Patreon to get exclusive content and become a Regionaire.